Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell. And today we're going to answer a letter from somebody whose partner is always there when she calls, but is never on time. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
Correct. We are not professionals. We are not trained in this. We are only here to offer our most humble musings to hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs on the incredibly rewarding but mostly confusing experience that is love. So please take our advice as you see fit. All right. We're going to dive right into today's letter. The letter writer is Don't Be Tardy to the Party, whose pronouns are she, her, who is writing to us from Be There in a Sec, Getting Over Myself. Sam and Sierra, how does one simply get over it? See it, acknowledge it, understand it, and then move the fuck on and get over it. Me, 31, she, her, my partner, 35, he, him. We've been dating for almost a year. It'll be 11 months and 8 days, not like I'm counting. And he's wonderful. He gives me the best love. He is so hardworking, deeply funny, the cutest, and truly the world's best dad to my favorite 2-year-old. To be clear, hashtag not my kid. I'm all about that hashtag stepmom life. Okay, so the but. I was raised in a world where the two best qualities a person could have were punctuality and delivering as promised, or over-delivering, even better. 10 points for you. Being on time and being reliable are at the core of my being. Why? Who taught me that? Those are my questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Thanks for asking
those are the
yourself.
questions that I ask. Yeah. Anyway, 15 years of private school on the East Coast, WASPs and white supremacy culture, that's who. My partner, despite having a shockingly similar upbringing, is the least punctual person I've ever met. JK, I lied. My father is the least punctual person I've ever met. Maybe should unpack that. Probably should unpack these parallels more. ... Anyway, my otherwise perfect partner is literally always late, and I hit my breaking point. I know there's no otherwise perfect. He is his circumstances. Don't at me, Sierra. This man owns a full-ass business that opens at 7 a.m. every day and opens on time. His daughter needs to be dropped off at school every day by 8:30, and she is dropped off on time. If we need to be at the airport by X time for our flight at Y time, we are there on time. It's the quote, yeah, sure, dinner at yours sounds great. I'll be there around 5:30, but walks in at 6:10 to 6:20. It's the, hey, babe, let me finish this, insert inane task here, and then we'll do sexy stuff before your parents get here. But we don't, because inane task previously inserted becomes 7 inane tasks, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on. Sometimes it's just an annoyance. Sometimes it actually hurts my feelings. He acknowledges all of it. He owns his own shortcomings. He doesn't make false promises about getting better for me. The thing I can't get over is the invisible arbitrator of what is important and what is not. I can't take it anymore. I've started to question if this relationship is one I can stay in without resenting him, if not hating him. How can you be a partner to someone who fundamentally doesn't respect your time/priorities/needs? But I think I've had a realization. It's just not that deep. By no means. And I, the lone victim of these misscheduling misdeeds. He's not out and about doing nefarious things, just freaking dawdling. And I dawdle too, just in a different way. And I'm so tired of letting this lateness or forgetfulness on a Sunday afternoon ruin what was an otherwise lovely weekend. And I will not actually break up with my 95% perfect partner just because he's not as good at executing, functioning as I am in one specific way. So now I look inward. What next? How do I just get the fuck over it? How do I unlearn it? Why do we need to execute function in the first place? How do I just chill the fuck out about it? How do I turn my reactions to his under-delivery from anger to ambivalence? What happens after recognition? Send help. That's a great question. Alternatively, is this what incompatibility actually looks like? And should we OG JBU? Please say no, unless it is, and then I would like the tough love. Okay, thank you for reading this. You are welcome. Don't be tardy to the party. Thank you so much for writing and for trusting us with this letter.
Absolutely. Yeah, this this moment of realization when we suddenly realize the things that our partner does are not actually that deep is like a big one. So like, welcome to it.
And it's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing for sure.
It's embarrassing.
And also everything about this letter is so deeply relatable in so many different ways. And Sierra and I are going to share some of our own experiences with having to realize that our partners aren't nefariously trying to hurt us in just a second.
I just thought of the perfect example. Be right back. Okay, so the perfect example that I thought of that is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And is something that Willow and I have referenced multiple times since it happened. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm sharing this. So one time, Willow and I were going to, I don't remember, it was like a lake or a beach or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we had plans to meet up with our family or whatever. I can't remember the details of it. I just remember the embarrassing part. And we get there, or like she gets everything ready. And we either get there or we're in the car. And I was like, did you pack towels? Yeah. And she was like, yeah, I packed one. I packed one towel.
One towel.
And I was like, really? I was like really shook by this because I was like, you mean you thought of a towel and you were like, I'm going to take care of me. I was like, so you were thinking, you literally, it's not that you forgot towels. You were like, I remembered towels, but I'm just thinking about me and my own dryness and my place to lay in the beach. It was, and so like, I was like legit hurt that it's not that she forgot them. It's that she literally chose not to bring one for me in my mind.
Oh,
that's
for
how
sure.
I
No, I'm
interpreted
with you.
it.
That's how
in
I'm
my
interpreting
mind, I'm like, exactly. I was like, wait a minute. And so now, she'll always say, and I packed 2 towels. Like now it's like a big deal.
Wait, was there an excuse for why she didn't pack one for you? Oh, no, she literally just packed one for herself.
Exactly. Yep. No, I'm really, actually, this is making me feel really vindicated that you are having this response too. Because it was like a computer glitch. I was like, I'm sorry. You packed one towel?
This is like such an example of the idea that we are married to the exact same person, because that is something that Peter would do. And then it would be like a running thing of like, look, I packed 2 towels. And I'm like, it doesn't matter that you packed 2 towels this time, because the first time you only packed one for yourself.
Yeah, yes. And like, my Enneagram, like my love language, all about taking care of people. So I would literally never pack one thing for myself and not the other person.
Oh,
and
I would
so
absolutely
it became
do
like,
it. But yeah, I get it.
well, I'm sure I would, because I'm like a fallible, terrible person. But in my mind, I like to think that I would never. Anyway, it is now a running joke because, of course, in my mind, I was like, you literally thought we're going to the beach and I'm only going to take care of my, like in my mind, it meant so much more. But it was just it wasn't even a mistake. It was just a choice she made because she's used to like being pretty independent and
also like was
I'm
assuming
used to
that
being
you
codependent.
Yeah, exactly. And was maybe assuming that you would bring your own towel. Like
exactly.
Absolutely.
That is I have like 100 other examples, but that was my first one that I thought was pretty embarrassing. What about you?
I'm with you. Peter and I have just like very different understandings of like what shared meals are supposed to look like.
Oh, you've talked about this. Yeah,
absolutely. Because like my thing is like we as a family sat down, we ate dinner together. Somebody made it and that was the time that we were like together as a family. And Peter, his parents own a restaurant. He and his sister were both like in all sorts of different sports. And so like it was kind of just like, there's food, eat it when you can in between all your different things. And so like sometimes he'll like go to bed and like not want to eat. And I'm like,
right.
What? Like, I can't believe that you're doing this. And I'm always like so hurt and also like furious at the same time, where I'm just like, what you're saying to me is that you do not want to do this thing that indicates that we are like healthy as a couple together, right? Like you are saying that it's like more important for you to like go and do this sleep thing or like to go read your book or whatever, or like whatever it is you want to do, as opposed to like spending time with me. Like that is how it reads to me.
You know,
and it's just
these
so
are
silly.
great examples. The way we break it down too is so important, is such a great example too, because like in the letter writer's letter, she's like, the two most important things to me. And like, it was like, that's a crazy sentence to read. Two most important things in the world in humans is punctuality. Like that in my reality, that is not the most important thing. But looking at these examples that we gave, like, you know, in my world, in my reality, one of the most important things a person can be is thoughtful, right? And so, like, not thinking of me when grabbing a towel, it hurt so deep.
Yep.
It meant so much more to me than just a stupid fucking towel. And for you, like this shared experience, this signifier of care, of family, of health, when it's just like, to Peter, he's like, I just don't want to eat right now. Like, this is literally a bowl of cereal. Like, what are you talking about? You know, those are just so perfect examples. That we all have those different scales of importance within us.
For sure. Absolutely. And like the act of eating by myself, like watching TV, is like sad to me. Like it makes me feel sad.
Yeah.
Right. And so like it is, and for whatever reason, right, it's probably because like I spent a lot of time eating and watching TV by myself and it was sad, right? Or like, it like reminds me of when, you know, we talked about this on Monday, right? When he was like going through all of his stuff around his mom's death, and like I spent a lot of time eating things by myself. Like it's like really triggering for me. And I think like one of the things that needs to go beyond just like I value punctuality is about also like, what is the story that I'm hearing from my partner when he isn't punctual, right? You even say it in your letter about like, I can't believe he's disrespecting my time, right? Is that what he's doing? Right? He's not on time for sure. But is that him disrespecting your time in that way? I totally understand that is how it feels to you because you've learned all of these different things about overpromising and being on time or like punctuality. But it's not just about recognizing like, oh, I learned punctuality is important, but also about like, and here's how it lives in me, right? Like, here's the story that it's telling about what it means beyond just it's important to be on time. But if you're not on time, you're disrespectful. If you're not on time, you don't have executive functioning, which like, as somebody who's not on time, I can assure you, I have fine executive functioning. Like I can like commit to tasks and like concentrate and do the things that I need to do. So much so that I am often late to things because I am really focused on the thing that I'm doing. Right? Like,
funny. And this is just like a perfect example of like how, you know, feelings are valid and feelings are also sometimes liars. And by liars, I mean you think they're talking about one thing, but they're really talking about something else. You know, absolutely. The feeling of anger and disrespect that you're feeling when he's late. That's a real feeling. Like we can validate that feeling, but it's not because he disrespected you. It's because you're responding to some trigger or you're responding to some conditioning, or it's like how Sam said, it's living in you in a different way. Another example I think of is in my relationship is Willow and I often start our days really differently. I like to start my day really slow and together. I love to drink coffee on the couch together and like watch our baby play. And Willow loves that too. And also she's just much more productive than I am and likes to tackle things like head on. And so we'll often we'll get up to put the dishes away, or we'll start her day, or we'll start her to-do list while I'm still sipping my coffee. And to this day, that triggers something in me. To this day, even though I understand that is just who she is inherently and that it's not telling me something about our relationship, to this day, I have to say, you're not being abandoned. And this isn't because she doesn't like you. Literally to this fucking day. And we're going to be together for like 5 years coming up soon. And so what that tells me, and what your letter tells me, all the questions that you're asking yourself and all the self-reflection you've done, is this isn't really about his behavior, right? This isn't really about Willow's inherent humanness
Yep.
and how she's displaying it. It's about us and our discomfort when it comes to our world realities being challenged, and how it feels to truly radically accept your partner for all that they are. You asked, like, is this a compatibility issue? And honestly, I'd like to like take it off of its pedestal a little and say it's probably just a preference, right?
Yeah.
Is it incompatibility? No. Is it a preference? Would you prefer if your partner was on time? Yes. But is it incompatibility? I don't necessarily think so. And I'm not trying to put you on blast for like, you know, what I said earlier sounded so serious of like, you're not, you know, you and I struggle to accept our partners radically and we don't sit in the discomfort of their reality, yada, yada, which is all like true. But also it's not that big of a deal, like you said. But it is grating and it is tiring to constantly be like, don't react, don't be triggered, don't, you know, like don't overthink this, don't take this too personally. It's tiring to feel that way. And I'm not really sure if it's ever going to not feel that way. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that it gets easier, but even if you're with this partner for 50 years, he's still going to be a completely independent, unique person from you with his own reality and worldview and approach. You know, you don't like slowly meld into the same person. And this is true of life. Like life is not going to accommodate us. The more quote unquote healed we get, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to get easier. I think that we get better in ways, but we are going to constantly be challenged this way. I would say welcome to the growth, but I don't always think it's growth. I think it's sustaining. I think it's becoming comfortable with this sort of reflection, you know?
For sure. Absolutely. And our goal isn't that we don't have the reactions or the emotions don't come up in us, right? Like when Peter chooses to not eat dinner with me, I still feel like it hurts, right? I still feel like, oh, ouch, right? And I'm able to hold that in the broader perspective of the relationship, right? Right. So like, but if my goal or if my marker of success was I never felt this way when he does this thing, then we would have to break up, right? Because like that would not work. But I think that the goal is like to notice the emotions, the responses that they're coming up in you, and then using the tools that you have to remind yourself of what's true, right? So, oh God, he's 40 minutes late to coming over to my house. He must be disrespecting me. I can't believe that he would not value my time. I can't believe I'm not a priority for him, right? And then stopping yourself in that and saying, okay, remember, right? This is a thing that I've learned, but this isn't actually what's happening here. I am a priority to him in these 7 different ways, right? He's not disrespecting my time. He's just late. That is the only thing that's happening here, right? He does value me. He shows me that he values me by doing these things for me, by supporting me in this way, by telling me that he values me, right? And it's okay for me to be frustrated that he's late. That's fine, right? That's okay. But it's not telling me some sort of broader story that I need to be alarmed about. So I think what's happening here is that like you have successfully shifted your behavior, right? You have successfully been in this place where you're like, cool, I will be okay with the fact that he's late all the time, but you haven't necessarily shifted your perspective on it. And both of those things need to happen for us to sort of build bridges towards each other. So I encourage you to spend some time asking yourself these questions or reminding yourself of what's true. Him being late isn't disrespectful of your time. You've learned that it is 100%. That has been taught to you over and over and over again, but that isn't objectively true, right? He is trying to say something different by what he's doing, which might be that he had 7 things he needed to tinker with, or it might be that he trusts you so much that he can show up authentically as himself and be 40 minutes late because he knows that you love him with his lateness. In spite of all of those different things, right? I am the latest with the people I trust the most.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you said that because I know it's going to be hard to swallow for some people, or some people are going to fundamentally disagree with us when we say like lateness is disrespectful. I know my mother believes that. And I know people believe that out there.
For sure. And there are people who believe that all sorts of different things, right? That doesn't necessarily make it true.
Yes. And I would even say you can believe that he's disrespecting you by being late. And also, two things can be true at the same time. You are his safe space, right? His business isn't safe. You know, he has to get his daughter to work or to school on time. You know, there are those professional parameters that he has to abide by in order to succeed in this life, right? Mm-hmm. Because of capitalism and because of school schedules and whatever. But you are a safe place for him, an interpersonal, intimate relationship for him to be his most authentic self, which is somebody who overcommits time and then shows up late or whatever he says. Mm-hmm. And like Sam said, I think we do that in our closest relationships. We let our messiest selves be seen.
Yep.
And this is, I kind of want to end on just saying, like, this doesn't mean you internalize all of this and magically, like Sam said, not feel these feelings anymore. And more importantly, magically don't expect him to bend to you. You know, just because you acknowledge that you have this one understanding that appears to be more rigid of time and punctuality, and he has a totally different other one. You know, you can do all the internal work that you want, and also this is still a partnership. You're still a team. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's anything wrong in you saying, I'm working on these feelings, and it's funny, this is what it makes me feel when you're late, and I know I have to unpack that, and I am going to work on hearing what you're saying to me. I'm going to work on telling myself that when you're late, it's not a message to me about myself or about your character. And can you work on giving me a more realistic estimation of your time? Mm-hmm. How about instead of dinner at 5:30, you say, I'll be there between 5:45 and 6:30. Do you know what I mean? Yep. Does that like appease you a little bit? Or how can you work together to take your two unique and valid understandings of time and create a system of functioning for that fits both of you, right? Because you're not going to just superimpose one over the other. That's not going to happen. Or one of you is going to be constantly hurt by the other. Mm-hmm. And so instead, we just have to make a world where both of you are a little hurt at the same time.
No, that is the world that we're going for, that everyone is uncomfortable some of the time, as opposed to some people are comfortable all the time and some people aren't, right? And that's what relationships are going to have to be, because you want him to be himself. You want him to be fully in this relationship. And that means that sometimes he's going to do things that are outside of your comfort, that make you feel hurt or angry or frustrated. And part of the work is for sure expressing some of that and seeing if there's a way that you can flex towards each other. But part of that also is about trying to unlearn the stories that we've been telling ourselves about what these things mean, because you have different understandings of what on time means, and you have different understandings of the meaning behind that on time as well. Mm-hmm. And because of course you're two different people with two different experiences. And guess what? Neither of yours is right. They're both their own thing over hanging out with themselves. And part of it is finding a way to see each other's definitions, values, understandings of the world in a way that honors both of them, which can be really hard when they feel so diametrically opposed.
Absolutely. I know this is hard work, but I do view this as a preference and not an incompatibility. I believe in you and your partner and your relationship and this work that you do after acceptance.
Absolutely.
Ongoing work for sure. All right, my darling, we hope that this helps.
Thank you so much for writing. We love you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, if you want more content from us, you can support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll get an additional bonus weekly episode, as well as access to all of our primary episodes without ads. That's patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into our DMs, send us your favorite relationship memes, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise. And one more quick thing about our Patreon. We've been doing these amazing Just Breakup office hours where we Zoom with a group of you and do a live Q&A. They're so fun. They're so intimate. They're as anonymous as you want to be, but it's a great way to hang out with me and Sam live. And get your questions answered while you're at it. You can join those Just Breakup office hours by subscribing on our Patreon for $10, or you can subscribe annually at any amount. And also, you can always cancel your Patreon subscription. So if you wanted to join us for just 1 month, you could just subscribe for $10 once and then cancel it after the live. This is, again, just a great way to support our podcast, to keep us going, and to pay for the work, effort, labor, equipment that we put into this show that airs for free. So
sure.
Yeah, that's patreon.com/justbreakuppod. This next Just Breakup office hours is happening on Tuesday, March 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need 2 random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Breakup is a production of Duvid Media, original music, editing, recording, all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his other podcasts and music on Spotify. And remember, you don't have to love everything about your partner. You don't have to like the way they leave socks on the floor or the food that they eat or the music that they listen to. You don't even have to like their conflict style, but you do have to understand it. You do have to understand where they're coming from and work together as a team to find a new system of functioning that makes space for everybody's reality. And if all else fails,
Just break up.